The biggest winner of the offseason in the NFC has to be the Los Angeles Rams. They upgraded at the one position of need that held them back in the playoffs, and that was corner. Trent McDuffie is better than Kobe Durant. Jalen Watson is better than Emmanuel Forbes. They upgraded at both of those positions. Their defense could be almost as good as their offense next year, and they brought back everybody on their offense besides Havenstein, the right tackle. But McClendon, the right tackle that played when Havenstein went down last year for LA, was more than serviceable. So the Rams are going to be a problem. Kobe Turner, Braden Fisk, Poona Ford, Jared Verse, Byron Young, Nate Peanut Punch Landman behind those guys. And then you have a secondary of Cam Curl, Cam Kitchens, Jalen Watson, Trent McDuffie. That is nasty. The Rams should be the odds-on favorite to win the Super Bowl. Their offense is going to be just as good as long as Puka Nakua's recovery goes well, and he's playing in Week 1, and he's not an alcoholic. That'd be detrimental to the Rams' postseason and Super Bowl hopes. My only concern is special teams, Jeff, because that's what cost them. They have had the worst special teams rating over the last 5 years. Fix it. Don't muff a punt against Seattle. You probably win a Super Bowl last year. I don't know how they addressed it. I don't know if they addressed it, but they needed to address it. The real thing is, though, they addressed the biggest need, and that was corner. And they got a guy in Trent McDuffie who did have a little bit of a down year last year, a 94 passer rating when allowed, only 4 pass breakups. The turnover numbers weren't there weren't there a whole lot. But he is one of the most sure-handed tacklers, or the most sure tacklers at the cornerback position. He had 2 All-Pros back-to-back in 23 and 24. He's great in coverage. He can play in the nickel. He can play on the outside. He can put his nose in the dirt, or he can not nose in the dirt. That's like referencing hand in the dirt. It's late. It's late, guys. It's late. I'm fucking tired. It's late. But either way, the Rams absolutely cooked. I think they should be the favorite to win the Super Bowl next year. The other winner, and we talked about him a little bit earlier in today's podcast, but the Minnesota Vikings got Kyler Murray for $1.3 million fucking dollars. That's an instant upgrade. This team with competent quarterback play won 15 games only 2 years ago. Kyler Murray is competent quarterback play. They should win 13, 14 games next year. I think if Kyler Murray loves football, they're a genuine Super Bowl contender. And Jawan Jennings is an upgrade at wide receiver 3 over Jalen Naylor. They also drafted Damon Claiborne, who is finally some explosiveness, some home run hitting ability in this RB room out of Wake Forest, ran in the 4.3s. Him, Jordan Mason, Aaron Jones, Damon Claiborne gives you the best chance of taking an outside zone play to the house, right? They also did not lose anyone too bad. Jonathan Allen was not good for them last year. Javon Hargrave was not great for them last year. Jonathan Grenard, that's tough a little bit, but they addressed their defensive line through the draft with Caleb Banks, who is elite upside, Dominique Orange, who can be that high floor player that you're going to get right away, and then Jack Galday, the linebacker from Cincinnati, they took in the second round. Nasty. Like a 10% missed tackle rate across his entire collegiate career. Nasty. Sideline to sideline, a leading coverage. Started as an edge rusher, too, so he has some of that in his bag as well. This is a guy that's going to fill up the stat sheet, put him next to Blake Cashman, and forget about it on this defense. They also took the safety, Jacoby Thomas is his name? I think, yeah, Jacoby Thomas, one of the best blitzing safeties in the NFL, who blitzes more than Brian Flores. They also took Caleb Tiernan, the offensive tackle at a Northwestern, who can be a swing tackle right away. And that's the biggest problem with this offensive line in Minnesota is Darisaw and Brian O'Neill can't stay healthy. Now you get a replacement for him, and they took a guard in the middle rounds as well. And if you take offensive line in the middle rounds, if you take trenches in the middle rounds, I'm going to be a fan of your draft no matter what the fuck you do, because that is my philosophy. That's a hill I will die on. You don't waste those middle round picks on a running back or a receiver. You waste them. You want to get dart throws on positions that are on the fucking field, on positions that directly impact football games. That is offensive lineman. That is defensive lineman. And that's exactly what they did in the mid to late rounds. So if they get healthier on the offensive line, if Kyler likes to play football, this Vikings team is good enough. They can win 13, 14 games. They can win the NFC North. They can make a push in the playoffs. As long as Kyler Murray likes football, and they should probably just cut J.J. McCarthy at this point because he's just bad vibes, annoying, bad at football, never proven a thing on a football field his entire life. Even though he is a national champion, he got carried by Blake Cormy. He was a handoff king. Now, some losers. I think the easiest loser for me is the Seattle Seahawks. And I still think they're going to be really good. They just won the Super Bowl. But they lost Boye Mafe. They lost Kobe Bryant. They lost Kenneth Walker. and they lost their offensive coordinator. So I think we are due for a little bit of regression in Seattle, and I don't think they had a relatively good draft. I don't like the contract that they gave Rashid Shaheed. I don't like taking Jadarian Price that early. I think they have some holes at the edge rusher position. I think the interior of the defensive line is going to be solid, but I think they also lost Tariq Woolen in the back end. So no Tariq Woolen, no Kobe Bryant. You still have like Julian Love, Spoon, Nicky Manwar. Like they still have plenty of guys. I think the defense is still going to be really good, but they did lose a bunch of key starters on that Super Bowl roster, and Jadarian Price could probably give you Kenneth Walker type production right away, but he was the Super Bowl MVP for a reason, mate. So it remains to be seen with Seattle. I think they just lost a lot of guys, which is going to happen after you win a Super Bowl because you have a lot of good players and they want to go get paid. So rightfully so. I don't think they go back to back. I just don't think they're that good. But it's hard to call them losers. Like they just lost guys. Like it's just, I don't think there's as many losers in the NFC that like made bad moves that I'm like, oh, I hate that. Like the Saints made some questionable moves. Like the ETN move was weird, but like I look at the Saints now and I'm like, I honestly think they're in a really good spot because of how good they draft usually. So like I called the Saints free agency losers, but I think they had a terrific draft, so I'm not going to call them offseason losers. Just Seattle. And then this can be a controversial one, but I think the Eagles have lost this offseason just a little bit because of how good the rest of their division is getting. Because the Cowboys don't look now, they have the best roster in that division now. They have the best roster in that division. Caleb Downs, dog. Dog. Day one starter, slot safety, linebacker, edge rusher. He's not just a safety. If you think that about Caleb Downs, you didn't watch Ohio State. They got better. Jalen Hawkins, the safety from Arizona, comes over. Kobe Durant, the corner from LA, comes over. That's better than what they had last year. Savon Ravel as well, second-year player out of ECU, was a guy I was really high on in the 2024 draft. Or 2025 draft. Don't sleep on him if he's healthy this year. And then obviously Deron Bland needs to stay on the field as well. And that's the weakness of this defense is the secondary. But defensively, Rashawn Gary, Quinnen Williams, Kenny Clark, Marion Overshone, Malachi Lawrence at the end of the first round, who was a really productive edge rusher at UCF his junior and senior year, or sophomore and junior year. I don't remember which one. And then year two, Donovan Izaraku is like all of a sudden the Cowboys defense, the front seven especially, is looking really solid. They already had the best offense in the NFL last year. That offensive line is incredibly young as well, only getting older. Javonte Williams, George Pickens, CeeDee Lamb, probably the best wide receiver duo in the league besides Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. But even that is an argument now, the way George Pickens played last year. So I think the Cowboys are the best roster in the division. I think the Eagles are going to lose A.J. Brown. They lost Jalen Phillips. Although I do think Jonathan Grenard's an upgrade as a pass rusher, probably not as an edge setter in the run game. Tariq Woolen is an upgrade over Adoree Jackson, but how much of an upgrade is that? It's a 1-year prove-it deal for a reason. So their defense should be a little bit better. But remember, before they traded for Jalen Phillips last year, the defense had a lot of problems. They had a lot of problems. I don't like their guys off the edge, quite frankly. I just don't. I don't think they have a lot of real presence. Eagles fans will tell you it's Nolan Smith. I don't buy that. They also lost Nakobe Dean, so now they have a little bit less depth at linebacker. But Zach Bond and Jahad Campbell is one of the best LB rooms in the NFL. The interior of the defensive line should be really good. So they should be really, really stout up the middle. Cooper Jean, Quinyon Mitchell, Tariq Woolen should be a more than formidable cornerback room, although Tariq Woolen has some concerns. Cooper Jean's just unbelievable. Like I thought he was a little bit overrated after his rookie year. He took his game to a whole nother level last year. He is a dog, no disputing that. Quinyon Mitchell, I think, is a top 3 corner in the NFL as well. So their defense should still be really good. Vic Fangio's still in the building. But a part of this Eagles team that doesn't get talked enough is their offensive line play was dropped dramatically last year. Career high in sacks for Jalen Hurts. Saquon Barkley went from 5.7 yards a carry to 4.1 yards a carry. And it's not on the tackles. Like Lane Johnson's old. He's not going to play a full season. I'd be shocked if he plays a full season. Jordan Mailata is still a really solid player. So their tackles are good when they're on the field. But the interior of that offensive line was just not good last year. Tyler Steen is average. Cam Jurgens is just awful. And then Landon Dickerson couldn't stay healthy. So the age is starting to catch up to this Eagles offensive line, and that was on full display last year. And I think that's part of the reason we saw Jalen Hurts take a little bit of a step back. It's because the run game wasn't as efficient. He didn't have as much time in the pocket as he's accustomed to because he's been playing behind one of the best offensive lines in the NFL for the past 3, 4, 5 seasons. So I think the Eagles are a little bit losers this offseason because they didn't do a whole lot to get better. And they're probably going to get worse offensively. I understand Mekhi Lemon is a great player, great prospect, but he's not fucking A.J. Brown. So they're going to lose A.J. Brown. They're going to get Mekhi Lemon as his replacement. That's fine. That's a good that's a good replacement, but like right away, you're gonna feel that stretching the field. You're gonna feel that impact stretching the field. He's not gonna take it. Like, well, he could take a slant to the house, but he's not AJ Brown, right? And on top of that, you have the Cowboys that got better. The Giants bring in Harbaugh. They bring in Arvell Reese. They bring in Tremaine Edmonds. They bring in Francis Mauigoa. Year two, Jackson Dart. Malik Neighbors comes back from injury. Hopefully, there was a little bit of hiccup with his knee surgery. They bring in Darnell Mooney, who's an upgrade at wide receiver too, over Darius Slay, and maybe not an upgrade over Wando Robinson, but either way, their offensive line should be better. Jermaine Illuminor, Andrew Thomas. They have Cam Scatterby, Tyrone Tracy, Jim Harbaugh in the building. I think that the Giants are going to be better this year than they were last year as well. Year two, Abdul Carter. Brian Burns was a top 3 edge in the league last year. They bring in DJ Reader to replace Dexter Lawrence. I think that's fine. It's more than serviceable. And then Arvell Reese and Tremaine Edmonds are 2 upgrades at their worst positions last year, which was Michael McFadden and Bobby Okereke, the 2 off-ball linebackers. So I really do like the Giants. I think they're gonna, I'm not saying they're going to make the playoffs, but they're going to be better next year. And the Commanders defensively, they got way younger. Leo Chenal from Kansas City, dog. Nick Cross from Indianapolis, dog. Odafe Owe from LA, dog. Sonny Styles from Ohio State, dog. Trey Amos, Mikey Sanders still. 2 good young corners. I think that defense is younger, faster, and going to be better than it was last year. Then you get a healthy Jaden Daniels throwing the ball to Antonio Williams, who was one of my favorite route runners coming out of Clemson, with Terry McLaurin. All of a sudden, one of the best O-lines when healthy in the NFL. I think the Eagles are losers because of how good that division has become. And a lot of their moves feel lateral, stagnant. But again, I do think they had a terrific draft. I think Mekhi Lemon is a weapon. I think that Eli Stowers is a better tight end than Kenyon Sadiq right now. So I think the Eagles did have a really good draft. And the tackle they took from Miami is 6'9". He's going to sit behind Lane Johnson for 2 years, come in and give you all pro stuff right away because that's just what the Eagles do. So I wouldn't be worried if I'm an Eagles fan. I'd be more worried about how good the rest of the division is looking, and I wouldn't be worried about your guys unless this new offensive coordinator comes in and Jalen Hurts still sucks. Then you might have a problem at head coach because you can't keep an offensive coordinator and you can't hire an offensive coordinator to help hone in Hurts' skill set. And you might have a problem at quarterback if Jalen Hurts can't get it done this year because he got carried by Saquon. Let's be honest. Yeah, carried by Saquon and the best defense in the NFL to a Super Bowl. He played really, really good in that Super Bowl, but there was never really any game pressure on him because that game was over by halftime. The Chiefs didn't cross half field. Now there's more pressure on him, literally and figuratively. Like there's more pressure on him because their offensive line isn't as good as it has been. There's more pressure on him because of all the outside noise regarding him and AJ Brown and all of the noise talk about, oh, he's not that good, blah, 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 whatever, not a top 5 quarterback. And then you also play in Philadelphia with one of the most passionate fan bases in the world. Yeah, there's more pressure on him literally and figuratively. Maybe that's a little bit concerning, and we'll see, man. But I just think the Eagles are losers because of how much better the rest of the division got, and they didn't do shit. But those are the biggest winners and losers in the NFC, man. Hit that follow button, hit that subscribe button, hit that thumbs up button. If you made it this far, comment down below what you guys think.